talking to you about paradigm shift from fear to freedom, from sickness to health. In Buddhism, we describe as a paradigm as a model, the five aspects of this living world, like one, physiologic, inorganic, a physical law. Second is physical, organic order, a biological law. Third is a psychic order, a mind. And fourth is the karma, moral law on the action consequence. And the fifth is the Dharma law, the norm, cause and effect. Um, Julie Pyatt, and chief Canadian astronaut, when she was in Space Shuttle Discovery, she described Earth appears as a one entity. It's unique, one planet. And you realize the one planet is the only thing you have. And you see very well this thin, very thin layer, which is about 35 kilometers thick in the atmosphere of the Earth. And below that is life, and above that is nothing. It's a vacuum. And basically, she was talking about a stratosphere in that area that had ozone layer. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama also said the whole humanity is one human family. This planet is our home, and we all share this planet, and we live in harmony and peace with each other, with nature. It's not just a dream; it's a necessity. The global warming has been noted since World War II, about 1945, 1940 or so, um, and has been rising. Temperature is now 1.3 centigrade above the year 1950 and 1945. So the goal is not to reach 2 centigrade at the end of the century. And human being and all other organisms, plant included, all carbon-based creature, and we end up with carbon dioxide through our respiration. And plant also has carbon sink, absorb carbon dioxide and produce oxygen. Human also have human emissions, which contribute a lot to the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And Nobel Prize just awarded the climate scientist last year for this effect that's been shown from a human being. And fossil carbon also been used to create this. Global warming has been, this is a test curve, Thielen curve, that CO2 keep rising. Right now we're about 420 parts per million, and the goal is not to reach 800 million at the end of the century. Basically, about a fourth is in the ocean. The CO2 is absorbed there. In plant, as carbon sink with 1/4 of the carbon dioxide and another half in the atmosphere. And we use fossil fuel and end up with carbon dioxide. And deforestation create more carbon dioxide, and also from agriculture and raising cattle for food also produce a lot of methane. And even though there's some that chemical reaction would absorb that sink from into the ground, and basically we produce at least 18.2 million tons of methane each year. And the permafrost is melting and it's spitting out methane, so the earth is really sick and methane is about 30 times more potent in causing global warming than carbon dioxide. In the oxygen poor atmosphere, with the decomposition, it results in methane. In oxygen-rich area became carbon dioxide. And there's massive sinkhole in the Arctic, and at least 1.3 trillion tons of methane is deep in the ground about a mile depth. And there's a melting of the permafrost, and the ice cap is losing ice cap and so on. And less reflection to the sunlight, so we end up with a lot of global warming as a greenhouse effect. And this could end up with the feedback loop and become worse and worse. But we can reverse that by regreening and help the carbon sink with the plant. The tree in Bhutan, they only generate 2.2 million tons of carbon dioxide, but they absorb 3 times as much, produce more oxygen. And we can try with solar, renewable energy, with solar cell, also wind energy, and water turbine, hydroelectric power, and use electric car in the future. So this hopefully will turn back the feedback loop. The biological law, and the second one is basically we see that human genome project was finished in the year 2000. In 2005 in chimpanzee. We're very close to apes, and we only skin deep difference. We are 99.9% similar to each other. And we all has ATCGS nucleotide in our system, and we are 95% similar to the dog, and 50% to banana, and 35% to daffodil, 25% to the rice and wheat. And apes and monkey and ape can use tools. Human beings also make tools and kill each other with weapons. And the Buddha said the world is subscribed to craving and concepts of pleasure and pain. We are all companions of birth, aging, sickness, and death, with no exception. When Columbus landed in Haiti in 1492, within 25 years, 95% of the natives died, was wiped out from infectious disease, including the old world malaria, typhus, influenza, smallpox, and other viruses. And there are 8.7 million species on Earth, and we are the only one that conquer the world, and also result in 150 species lost every day. This is from deforestation, global warming, pollution, invasive species, and overfishing, as well invade the animal habitats. So 50% of them, they're living in 50% less in the area of habitat. We also come to wildlife trafficking and hunting, as well as traveling. We come to expose to animal vector, which can bring on disease like SARS in 2000, and MERS in 2012. And there was 800 deaths with SARS. There's a civet cat as a carrier, and MERS from the camel. There also some outbreak back in 2015 with 38 deaths, and also 2018 with 432 deaths. in 2019, we have this SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19, which has the receptor only to the ACE2 receptor, attached to the ACE2 receptor, and with this M spike, it can enter into pneumocyte type 2 pneumocytes in the lungs and endothelial cells, as well as invade into lungs, cause lung damage, respiratory failure, losing smell, can cause endocarditis, also gastrointestinal symptoms, diarrhea, and so on. The role guideline of pandemic is to test, see the positive case, and treat and prevent. Basically, we very fortunate that we come up with the vaccine, and prevention is the best treatment. Within a year, we came up with the vaccine, and about 80% of American has been vaccinated, but just still with left with 60 million Americans remain unvaccinated, which could become an incubator of a new strain of the COVID-2 virus. And through the years, these past 2 years, there were treatment with remdesivir as antiviral, and also treatment with cytokine storm, as well as many monoclonal antibodies, but some of which may not work for the new variant, and the two new drugs. Paxlovid is the one that President Biden mentioned that will be given on the spot if it's positive. And waves of new variant, as a fourth wave, is this Omicron B11529 coming in of 2021. They have 26 unique spike mutation, and within 3 months, since Halloween through the end of January, they all become Omicron. And without vaccination, very high risk to succumb from Omicron, be infected. And even without booster, you pose some higher risk. But even with boosted one, you drop the risk, but still some there, because it's very infectious. Unvaccinated stated they're 97 times more likely to die from Omicron if you're infected by it and been hospitalized. Vaccination is very effective, even though it started with 81% to Omicron, dropped to 57 with booster at 6 months, and booster can bring it up to 90%. So far, we have almost 1 million deaths in this country. Worldwide, it's about almost 6 million. And fortunately, the Omicron start to die down. At least 60% drop at the end of January. So wearing masks can help to, but prevent contracted the Omicron, but it's 70 times faster. Omicron multiplies 70 times faster in the bronchial tree, so it can infect at the lower dose. They were new about 800,000 cases a day by mid-January, with over 2,000 deaths a day. And the cloth mask may not be effective against Omicron. Surgical masks only work for 20 minutes. N95 work for 2 hours, and become political issue. The mask mandate and the new guidelines that you may or may not wear masks at the low or medium risk area. So you have to keep this chart available to prove that. And COVID-19 become the third leading cause of death in this country. And we also have about 9 trillion in debt during the President Trump year, and now with adding 2.2 trillion, we have 30 trillion in debt, U.S. debt right now. So psychic, we're under stress all the time with multitasking, with low productivity, and the constant stress and burnout, making more mistakes, and so constant connectivity, working long hours, end up with a poor outcome. So major Fortune 500 companies start to adopt mindfulness meditation as a way to de-stress. It's been successful, at least in several illnesses. Years mindfulness-based stress reduction, have controlled temper, fend off depression, worry, anxiety, and lose weight with lower daily stress, sleep faster, and falling asleep faster, get better focusing, better listener, enjoy sex more, lower blood pressure, more assertive, deepen your spiritual life, and stick with the goal and be a better leader. And karma law, Buddha said, mind is luminous but tainted with transitory mental impurities. Created a delusion that means it's not there, but you've invited it in. I declare volition or will or decision is karma or action. Having will, one act with body, speech, and thoughts. We are what we think, what we are rise without thoughts. Without thoughts, we make our will. And you see what happened on January 6th last year, as well as recently, February 24th, 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. All this from craving and concepts. We have bias from fear, and fear, bias from greed, caused by hatred and delusion, or your ego stupidity, and bias from fear. You subscribe to a certain concept of through misinformation or something invisible like the COVID-19. Buddha described two types of freedom, personal freedom, especially spiritual, intellectual, is more important than physical and social. And then true freedom, ultimate freedom. So personal freedom is based on ultimate freedom, which is void of greed, hatred, delusion, achievable through practicing awakened quality bodhisattva, from 4 foundations of mindfulness to the 4 path. You can live a wholesome life and no killing, no stealing, no misconduct, no lying, and no intoxicating. Have loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and so on. And law of cause and effect. Einstein said, our situation on this earth is strange. We came here uninvited and involuntarily. For a short stay without knowing why, to me, is enough to wonder at the secrets. Buddha disapproved such notion. He said, we're not coming here without cause or without condition. He disapproved whatever a person experiences, pleasure or pain. Neither pleasure or pain is caused by a supreme being through what one have done in the past, like a fixed fate. But he discovered and taught what he discovered as dependent arising, law of causation, and one is capable to control one's own fate. And with that, and he also discovered nirvana, or end of suffering, basically his enlightenment. about the cause and the end of it, suffering. And your mental impulse tainted your mind, consciousness. You have imagination, image, hologram, six sense sphere, corrupted with idea, nose, tongue, body, and mind, corrupt contact, feeling, craving, clinging, all corrupted. You becoming, you have imagination. But you're aware, you can end as nirvana. He described the world or realm that you are embedded in as, I declare a world was basically suffering, cause of the world, end of the world, and path to end the world in this body, 6 foot tall, 1 foot wide, equipped with perception and consciousness. And with that, we generate self-image hologram or nama rupa, and we're becoming such realm and birth into such realm of thoughts. Your bias, thought, and concept. Everyone has, in youth is aging, and health is illness, and life is death. Even though you condemn aging, you're still going to be aged. And even though you live 100, you cannot escape death. Death will crush all lives without exception. Basically, the Buddha described apoptosis, or programmed cell death, 2,600 years ago. So we're in balance of health and illness all the time. Too much, you cause allergy. Too little, you get infected. We have troops of white cells, innate immunity to fight against infection and so on, and as well adaptive immunity producing antibodies with lymphocytes. And we have cells repaired cell all the time, 500,000 DNA modification each day. If it balances out the damage and the repair, you're a healthy cell. And if it damages more than repair, you end up with cancer, getting old, or cell death. So the Buddha described as health or without sickness is the great fortune, happiness, ultimate wealth, trusted friend is the best relative, nirvana or end of suffering is ultimate bliss. And you can see that each part of your life, each chapter from toddler, infant toddler, young age, middle age, old age, and death. You can see physically, even though it comes with times, but mentally it's also follows the same way of impermanence, imperfection, selflessness, the three universal characteristics, no true permanent self there. And it's but selfless in nature. The Buddha described, taught this person that to see, just see, to hear, just hear, perceive, just perceive, that it's just through your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And realize, just realize as simply sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts without bias. So you should practice like that. See, just see, hear, just hear, perceive, just perceive. And realize, just realize the so-called you will no longer exist. And it's the fourth noble truth. There's no you in such moment as you're not existing in this realm, next realm. It's the end of suffering. So with mindful awareness, you have this unbiasedly with the middle path. You have this Buddha nature, Buddha seed in you, and you can end up with insight, wisdom. All beings are similar to the Buddha. All beings are the Buddha. A lotus for you is time enlightenment. A Buddha to be. Thank you for your attention.